What's going on, y'all? Forward Fabian back again with a video, man. We're doing a reaction to Fox News path to 270 early voting surge looking scary for Democrats. So Bill Hemmer breaks down early voting data and latest polling ahead of Election Day. The Five Coast hosts and Harold Ford Jr. In addition to Trey Gowdy also weigh in on the 2024 race amid early voting surge. Senior correspondent Alicia Acuna also reports the latest and why election results could be delayed in Arizona, man. I've heard that. I'm not really sure what the turnaround is typically. Tomorrow is election day, but, as they say, results won't be immediate. So, like I said, I'm not sure what the typical turnaround is with things of this sort. But comment down below, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this. Even election 2024 says finding out who won the presidency may take days. Election officials in key swing states are urging Americans to be patient as they tally results. A process that varies from state to state because each has different vote counting laws. Polls show an extremely tight presidential race, and the closer the results are, the longer it will take to know the outcome. So we're gonna go ahead and hop right into the video, man. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel, like the video, engage with the content, and yeah, let's get it.
Concern right now if you're the Harris team?
Republicans do have an advantage in early vote numbers. When the early vote come in, it's going to look a little bit different than 2020, and that's scary.
So that is very interesting. Jim Messina with his take on the early vote so far. A couple things here we want to look back, all right? You've got a candidate on the ballot for the third time at the national level. So what does the end vote look like? Does it look like 2016 where Trump squeaked out a win here over Hillary Clinton? He swept the blue wall, made it red, Southeast red as well. Or does this election look more like 4 years ago, okay? Here's Biden squeaking out a win over Donald Trump, okay? What did he do? He flipped that red wall, made it blue yet again, then a little bit of blue down here as well in the Southeast. Let's go to this right now because Madison was just talking about the early vote.
Georgia be ashamed, man. You know how, like, everybody says the South is predominantly red, right? GA the only one that got the swing.
In the Southeast. Let's go to this right now because Madison was just talking about the early vote. This is what happened in 2020. You had just shy of 159 Americans voting, okay? So far, right now, okay, no pandemic, no COVID, no nothing. You're at 77 million, so you're just about half of the total that we expect in the end. And among those, now there's total that we expect in the end. And
they be talking about there's a lot of straggler voters. A lot of people gonna place. I believe they have till tomorrow, right? They can place like the late vote.
Among those, now there's a category of others. You know, sometimes they register as independents, etc. But based on party, based on the states and early voting that report by party registration, Democrats make up 41% and Republicans make up 39%. This is one of these things that Messina was talking about in the soundbite. And this is one of the things that I'll cruise on back over here and we'll bring in our guests here today. This is one of the things that Republicans like to see right now in the early voting. And we'll see how that shakes out once we add them all up there, Dana.
All right. Well, Harold Ford Jr. and Trey Gowdy are here with us, so no one better than to shake that out for us. So your thoughts about that and maybe the concerns that Messina has.
So good morning. Glad to be with you. Election Eve. Trey and I haven't been on the ballot. We understand how election eves feel for candidates across the country. I think you said it well over there at the board. I think it's important for people to realize early voting, what it means for a lot of places around the country, and it really battleground states are where we're most focused. As I think about the closing and the closing arguments, I think both have probably, Trey was saying in the green room, would have probably liked to do it a little differently. However, I think she's been a little more disciplined. I think in the last 3 or 4 days, she's been a little tighter in her message, more concise in her message. But as you look at the map here and where she's going to spend the night, where she's going to spend the day and perhaps the evening, it's Pennsylvania. Without Pennsylvania, Democrats can't win. And frankly, I don't think Republicans can win either without it. So this will be the focus today over the next 24 hours. And I got to tell you.
Is that her slogan, dream big again? I got the Trump will fix it and then the dream big again. I don't know. I think this is a Trump rally. So obviously these are all Trump supporters.
Tell you, this is like Christmas Eve for me. I'm excited as I can
I
possibly
was
be.
saying. Washington Post headline, Harris's team claims she's no longer the underdog, but Trump team scoffs. Don't know if that's true in the end, but what about Harold's thoughts there, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Donald Trump, your closing argument should be twofold. Number one, you had 3 years to do whatever the next thing that comes out of your mouth is, and you didn't do it. And most Americans think our country's headed in the wrong direction. Instead, he spent the week explaining what
Bruh's hair is different. That swoop is mean, nasty swoop.
someone else said at one of his rallies at Madison Square
got a
Garden.
stylist.
She, on the other hand, wants to be talking about turn the page. Joe Biden is not turning the page. He's the table of contents. He's the foreword to the book. And yet he uses the word garbage, and she has to explain it. What I find fascinating about Pennsylvania is it's really a microcosm for the country. It's 2 urban centers with Texas.
Wouldn't you hate that? Just because you're aligned with a certain party, you have to explain maybe other representatives' points of view. Like he's mentioning the whole Biden calling trash, this and that. Like Kamala having to, double down on those comments because obviously that rubbed a lot of folks a certain way. Which you would think would be solely Republicans, but still, when he made the comment about people who support Trump are trash or whatever, Kamala having to defend his points on that is crazy work. I mean, he is the current president, right? But the president in running from the same political party has to defend, statements he makes to where they could be very ridiculous and outlandish. I would just no comment all those questions. Let Sleepy Joe get his last words out, you know what I'm saying, and keep it pushing.
Middle. So who's going to win? It's no longer, I don't think, whatever the old political dynamic. It's now urban versus rural, and Pennsylvania, I think, proves that. Who can win, the cities or the rural area in between?
Here's something that is...
It's a gray area.
I think that the Trump campaign...
They're meshed at this point in time.
Would like to try to close on this one as well. They've been trying to define Harris for the last 100 days since she became the candidate.
Because if you think about it, a lot of the urban versus rural votes are kind of like similar at this point in time. That's what's surprising about this election. A lot of the folks that you would deem or tend to push or have them side with a particular demographic, whatever you want to say, aren't really voting according to what you would deem, to what you would side coming from that specific place, whether rural or urban. That's what's interesting, man. You got a lot of blue collar workers, a lot of immigrants siding with Trump this time around. Whereas at a point in time, people will assume that vote would be casted towards the Democratic Party. It's a gray area nowadays, man. Everybody's kind of just like taking their personal feelings out of it and deciding what's best for the country and obviously themselves as a citizen. So
pull up call for number 3 here. These are the issues that Harris's team has declined to say whether she still supports. And it has everything from immigration and the Senate filibuster, the closing private for-profit prisons. She's called that morally wrong. She wants to install a climate envoy in every embassy around the world, et cetera. There's all of these things, Harold. And, is that a reflection of the campaign being so truncated, so short, so she didn't have time to do that? Or does she not want people to know where she stands?
I don't know the answer to that, but I know this. If I were running against her, if I were Donald Trump, this is what I would have been talking about the entire time. I'm slightly surprised that President Trump is not closing at the border. I mean, I would have had the cameras there saying to the country, here's why I have to be president again to ensure that we get some reasonableness and sanity.
That's a good idea.
I think for President Trump, some of the undisciplined way he is closed has invited people or given people permission to think back about the things they didn't like about him 8 years ago. And the question is, do you want that in your living room? Do you want that in your dining room? Do you want that in your kitchen or your bedroom, wherever you consume television or media for that matter? And for her, I'm surprised that she didn't have to give a long-form interview. I'm surprised she didn't have to do more. I thought what she did with Brett, she did a good job. I would have done more if I were her. But we'll have an opportunity to say this Wednesday or Thursday. I think as we sit here today, she's in a good position. He's in a good position. It's interesting that he's going to spend as much time in Georgia that the Republicans are. I thought you would think that Georgia and North Carolina might be locked up, but In fact,
It seems like the play he's been running for the last 4 days is Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Now, if you go to the board over there and add up electoral votes, that would be enough to get him back in the Oval Office. Just a couple things on that. If she wins, Trey, she would be the first candidate, certainly in the modern era, perhaps ever, who's never held a formal press conference. I don't know.
Listen, if you've been
Cutting
in a car
corners.
accident, don't call an attorney.
Cutting corners, people just bending the rules for Kamala.
Feel about that, but Nikki Haley went public. Here's her op-ed today. Trump isn't perfect, but he's the better choice. If you like his policies but are put off by his tone or excesses, consider the cost of the past 4 years. I don't know how you evaluate that, but Nikki Haley's weighed in twice now in the final 7 days.
Well, my first analysis is I never got in trouble for something I didn't say. So if you don't talk, it's hard to get in trouble. The problem with Kamala Harris is she has a voting record, and it was to the left of Bernie Sanders. I mean, very few Americans think death row inmates ought to be able to vote. Like maybe none. When I say very few, I mean none. But she did. So she either has to explain her change in position, which is always tough, or she has to just not talk. Donald Trump didn't participate in the primary debates. Katie Hobbs won in Arizona. I mean, I think it's on us as voters.
But I think, yeah. Nothing's standard anymore, man. Like the participation in, specific debates. People choosing to forego or the candidates choosing to forego. I think that kind of speaks to a specific stance and the need to, like he said, speak at a certain time at a certain place, man. People know the narrative. People know the message one's party's pushing versus the other. I don't think that has to always be stood on 10 toes at every single debate, especially if it's a choice.
If we give people a free pass for not having to explain their positions, but both sides have done it in the past.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been done. What it's beating a dead horse, right?
I hope it's a tradition that ends. I hope this is the last time that we allow the candidates to dictate to us, presidential candidates, when and how many debates they'll have. They should have 3 always, and they should split it up about the issues. But we'll have an opportunity to talk about
And
this
Bill and
Wednesday.
Dana should moderate one of them.
Yeah, y'all rallies
Trey,
doing
with the
enough.
Trump victory, however, have you given thought much to how it might be different from his first term?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't like it when I say this. I think 2016 caught them all by surprise. I'm not sure they were planning on winning. So vetting good cabinet. I mean, look at the number of original cabinet members that actually survived. So I know the folks running transition for him, they have been hard at work. I think you will see a more closely vetted candidates. I think where he will get frustrated is the House is a slow-moving body. It starts all over again. So he may have an agenda, but the House takes a while to get cranked up. He's going to have to do it with executive action, which conservatives used to not like, but now they're okay with it.
It depends on the timing, right? Harold, any final last word?
I don't disagree with what Trey said about President Trump. I think Vice President Harris will have similar challenges. She has a little bit of an incumbency advantage. She'll be able to pick her team, but we got a long way before that.
And
My thing is, bro, like, a lot of people place a specific blame on Trump, like, because it always ties back to the fact that he was president during COVID and, like, economy took a serious hit. But how can you attribute that to a president? Or like place the blame and the burden on him for that specifically. Sure, when he first came in, a lot of people didn't expect him to win, and I don't even think he expected himself to win. So he kind of had to strap up his boots, get everything in order, get in line, and start figuring out for the next 4 years, bro. You're president now, so let's get it together. I think that this time around, obviously, being that the country's in a different state to where versus in comparison to where he left off, that's a hurdle in its own, but to try to turn it around is something else. But in terms of his experience, obviously he's got a term under his belt, so I think he's more savvy now than ever before. But a lot of people thinking that he still isn't in a position to handle the country or run the country, and I'm like, I think that a lot of that's based off of personal feelings and not, statistics, looking at the numbers and looking at a lot of his a lot of the things he wants to put in play for the country, so proof's in the pudding. I think when you actually look at how he operates and what he really cares about in terms of advancement for the country and the protection, I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think he's one that's trying to enact chaos and destruction amongst American citizens. So I think he wants what's best for the average American overall, and that's really all you can really ask for when you got somebody wanting to be the president of the U.S. So comment down below, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless, man. We'll see you on the next video. We out.